Thank you for joining us.
Namaste.
So, if you have two blocks, I'm going to use them today. If you don't worry about it. You can just do it without the two blocks. The two blocks just gives you a bit more lift in this because we're going to have a little bit of uh, practice where we're going to enter into some poses where you really flex in one leg, and we're really going to feel how flexing one leg in engages the abdominals and what that does for us in moving into poses. So we'll see how we go. Let's begin. So we'll come down onto the mat and just wake up the body a little bit with some abdominal work. So we'll start with palms down next to your hips and the feet in. And you can always kind of look to the side of your mat to see what's going on with your feet, to see if you have a tendency to turn them out or to turn them in, or one goes out a little bit. It's all, we have these habits in our body, and it's always good to just pay attention to just checking what our perception is versus what is actually going on. So, if you can have your feet as parallel as possible, hip width as possible, we'll start with some abdominal stuff. So, we'll start with the palms next, and we're just going to flex both legs in and extend up to the ceiling, and flex both legs in and bring them on the floor. And this is an opportunity to just move slowly into this, to just feel how this flexion, as you bring the thigh towards the chest, is working for you today. Right now we're doing both legs together, and that probably makes it easier. It's often easier to do movement that is symmetrical than asymmetrical. Now, if you want to bring the hands underneath the head, you can do that. So we'll do 3 positions here, but you can always stay in the first position with the hands, or modify in any way that works for you. Or you can create your own arm positions that might be useful for you. And then for the next couple, you can just bring the arms overhead. You can have them a little bit up towards the air if you have trouble with your shoulders, so don't, there's a little bit more action if I don't put my thumbs to the floor, and also probably my shoulders. This is the perfect place for me. So we're all going to be slightly different in this. And do 2 more. And then place the feet down and the palms down. And again, with the next thing we're going to do, you can keep the palms down next to you. If you want to do a couple like we just did in the first round, with the palms here, then hands here, and arms overhead, you can do that. So follow what works for you. We're going to bend both knees in, and this time we're going to straighten one up to the ceiling and one down. And then you bring both legs into the center and straighten one. Now I'm hovering the bottom leg because that's brings more intensity. But of course, if you want less intensity, you can do it like so. You can just have, a foot length or 2 feet length between your legs. So you can be be more like this. So you can play with your intensity in this, or where the hands are. So you've got a couple of choices with this. You can do a couple with one hand position, and then you can change the arm position at any time. Just trying to even us out because, as usual, I can't remember how many I've done. And then even yourself out, even if I didn't, and then bring the hands and the palms down next to you. So the next one will just extend. I'm extending my left leg long. And again, hands can be in any of those positions. And we're just going to do one leg at a time for a couple. So you just bend it in, place it down. So you bend the knee in. You can be lower if you need to, but you're bending it in and down. And just see what happens in your abdominals as you do this. And you can take your time. You can go quite slow. And you can also hover that leg. I mean, if you want even more intensity when you do this, you bring the down leg just hovering off the floor. So that's going to bring up the intensity of the pose. And then release that leg, bring both feet in again, and have a couple of breaths here. Because you might feel how that's starting to bring your heart rate up a little bit. And then we'll do the other side. So you can vary your arm position as you want. Okay, I better remember what I'm doing. So you can bring the leg down, or you can hover it off the floor depending on how much intensity you want. So you bend it in, down. I'm hovering the top leg. And again, you can hover both legs. And that's going to bring the intensity of this. Again, the arms can go where it feels right to be. And then try to even yourself out. Because again, I forget to count. And then even yourself out, and then you can bring feet back down, and then just windshield wiper your legs so that you just release any tension that might have built up in your lower back. And also it helps to stretch out the abdominals a little bit. And then roll to your side. And again, I'm going to use 2 blocks for my hands in downward dog, but you can just have your hands on the floor if you don't have 2 blocks. But I'll show you with 2 blocks, and I'll show you without. We're just going to come into warm up into downward dog. The blocks just give us a little bit more lift when we bring our legs through. But again, you need to do what works for you. You don't have 2 blocks. Actually, 2 books can work. They might be awkward, but that's why somebody designed yoga blocks, right? So if you don't have the blocks, it's fine. But we're going to tuck the toes under and just come into a downward dog. If you want to walk the dog a little bit, you can do that. But your legs are probably a bit warmed up from what we just did. And then you can bend both knees together and press the armpits towards the thighs. And then slowly straighten the legs. A couple of breaths here. can bend the knees down and come into big toes together, knees wide. This is also where it's nice when you have two blocks, because you can perhaps feel more length in the arms. And you certainly won't be, dropping the arms down to the floor with the blocks. This sort of helps remind you of bringing those arms parallel. And then inhale, come up again, and come into downward facing dog. And then we're going to play what I've been playing with. And of course, if you need to, you can always go into big toes together, knees wide. So from downward dog, we're going to flex that right knee in for a couple of breaths. So we're going to stay in this plank, extend the leg back, and then we're going to go on the diagonal and extend it back. And then we're going to bring it out and extend it back. Then place the foot down and go into a downward dog. And then we'll take a little rest into big toes together, knees wide. Because it may not just be about your abdominal strength, it might be about what's happening in your shoulders in this pose. So that's, some of the options, it won't be the same, but you could always just put the forearms down if you need a little bit of break, and it'll mean that you're not really in plank when you do this. But we'll try it in that after we've done one like this. So again, tuck the toes under into downward dog, with or without blocks. And then inhale the leg in for a couple of breaths. And then staying in the plank, extend the leg, cross it over towards the opposite arm, and then extend it long, and then out towards the same arm, extend it long, then both feet down into downward facing dog, and then come down, big toes together, knees wide. A couple of breaths here. And then, just because I thought of it, like I do, bring the forearms down. We'll try it from this position and see how it works here. So we'll go into, I don't even know exactly what it's called, but maybe this is a little bit of dolphin pose. So you might need to take the feet back further. And then what happens when you bend that knee in? You're not really fully into plank. Extend it long, then you cross it over, extend it long, come out, extend it long, place it down, and then you might as well come into big toes together, knees wide. And this is if you have just one block, a useful experience where you can put the one block between your hands to try to keep even distance between your hands. So if you just had one block, you can put it down like this. And then we'll come into like a half dog, or maybe it is dolphin. And then bring in the knee again. Extend it long. Come out. Extend it long. Whoops, cross over. Extend it long. I kind of went in the wrong way. Come out. Extend it long. Put the foot down. And big toes together, knees wide. So cat thinks I'm doing some kind of pose for him. Don't you, Gandalf? And then slowly come up. And if you have 2 blocks, we'll use them for the next couple of poses. If you don't, you may want to keep 1 block close to you for using for your hands. But the way we're going to do standing poses is we're going to use these blocks, and that's what's kind of cool about it. It will feel like you have more lift. So what we're going to do is tuck the toes under, and then you're going to let's see if I've got it right. Oh yeah, okay, you bend the knees and you're going to jump the right foot forward. Now you've got that left knee further in, so that's connecting you into your abdominals here. So you've got this flexion, and then you're going to extend that back leg long. And if you have a block, you can just bring it up coming into triangle pose, or you can put the hand on the thigh or the shin, and then you can bring the top arm up. And if you want to experience the block a little lower, you can try that if you have a block. Otherwise, perhaps the hand goes further down the leg. And then you bring both hands back around. And this time, you're going to bring that back leg in, flex it in, and then extend it long, kick it up, and both legs come to downward dog. Might be confusing, but because we'll do it a few times, hopefully you'll catch on. So for the second side, we'll bend the knees, jump the left foot forward, and then you've got that right leg flexed in. Then you extend it long behind you. If you've got the block handy, you can use it for your hands, or your hands can come on the shin or the thigh into Utthita Trikonasana, extended triangle pose. Now the cat wants to get involved. You can bring the block down lower if you have it. And then bring the hands back around. Bring the back leg in so you've got it flexed here. And then you're going to extend it out and jump up, and hopefully I'm not going to step on the cat. And then go ahead and bring the knees down into big toes together, knees wide. Because I could see that this way of doing standing poses, if you're having trouble in your shoulders, could actually, make it more challenging. So you want to have a couple of breaths rest in between. Then inhale, come up. Tuck the toes under to downward dog. And again, we're going to jump the same way. You bend both legs and jump the right foot forward, and you've got the left leg flexed in. Then you're going to take it long and keep this front leg bent. And we're going to come into Parsvakonasana. You can either use the block or the forearm on the thigh. And then the top arm can come up and over, or can stay down, or straight up, depending on your shoulder. And you turn the hands back around, bring the back leg flexed in, and then extend it out, and both legs come into downward facing. And then bend both knees, jump the left foot in, flex that right leg in, extend it long behind you, keep this left leg bent, come into Utthita Trikonasana, Pajvakonasana, Utthita Pajvakonasana, extended side angle ladder pose. And then bring the hand back in, bending the back leg in, so then you extend it up and out and jump back. I'm waiting for him to claw me. Oh, the next pose, I'm gonna have to shift up a little bit so I don't step on him. So this is where you might definitely want to block for your hand. So we'll start on the right side. You're gonna jump and bend that right leg in. And this time, it's really useful to have the block to extend the back leg up into half moon Ardha Chandrasana. If you're able to get the hand up, you can. And then you can come around, bend the leg in, flex it in, then lift it up and extend that leg to meet it. And with two blocks, I can jump towards. With two blocks, I can jump towards the block with my foot to prepare for Ardha Chandrasana. So I can bend the knees, jump the left foot, and I'm right by this block. Have my hand here, extend the top leg up, find the balance. And hand down, bring that leg in, extend it out, and we're in downward dog. And then come into big toes together. Swan. We're not doing cat poses today, are we? Are we? So I'm going to bring my blocks back a little bit for the next pose. And this is another pose that's great to have blocks. If you don't have them, it'll still work. So inhale, coming up, tuck the toes under. And this time we're going to bend the knees, jump that foot forward. Now this time you're going to stay here and just extend the legs. And so that if you had two blocks, you could bring them up, and we're in Warrior 3 pose. Now you could stay here, hands on blocks, hands out to the side, hands behind you, or arms forward. And then if you have the blocks, you flex the leg in, extend it out to jump back into downward dog. And then bending the knees, jump the left foot forward, bringing that right leg in, extend it long. If you have the blocks or a block, you can just have one block here. Put both hands on the block. Arms can come out to the side, or back behind you, or in front. Yeah, that's where I've run out of space. And then blocks down, flex in, and then use that to kick back out. And then again, come into big toes together, knees wide. So that should be building a little bit of heat in the body. And then come up to all fours. And if you have the blocks, you just have your hands there. If you don't, the hands are just down on the mat. And you're going to take the right leg and swing it to the outer part of the block and just have a little lunge here. Just make sure that the ankle, the knee, and the shin are there. And then you can press your forearm into the thigh. So these are just little moves that if you ever want to start practicing more bird poses, arm balances, you know, this is one way to start getting the body used to some of this. And then bring that leg back and bring the other leg to the other arm. You can maybe see that the top of my arm is into the thigh, and as they relate to each other, it's like there's equal pressure between the forearm or the upper arm and the inner thigh, so that I'm not pushing the knee out, but I'm also not bending the elbow yet, although that would be a way to start moving into some of those bird poses. Bring that back. We'll do it again on either side. So swing the right leg forward. And again, a little bit of a lunge. Pressing the arm and the thigh into each other. Swing the leg back. Swing the other leg in. Press it. Bring it back. And if you have a block, I really need a lower block for this next bit, but I'm just going to bring it back to my heels, and we're going to come into a preparation for a bird pose where bring the hands forward, and here's where again you squeeze those thighs around the forearms, upper arms. I don't know my arms today. And then you're starting to round the spine a little bit. So you're trying to keep the legs as parallel as you can. And then if you want to try a bird pose, actually there's two different ones you can try. You can stay in this position and just bend the elbows and squeeze the legs in. Or if you want to go even further, it's more like the knees are in your armpits and you come into this one. And because I haven't practiced them in a long time, yeah, it's a little hard on my arms. But again, I'll show you again. You can come into just bending the elbows with the thighs on the upper arms. Or you could try to bring the knees into the armpits. And just a little taster. Yeah, the skin on my arms always gets a little wacky in that. So anyway, we better do something for the arms. And if you have your block, it's nice to sit on that. So we'll just do a little stretching through the arms. So we'll do Guru Dasana arms. Bring the right arm under the left. And if you need to, you can stay here place the hands on the shoulder. Or if you want to go further, you can start here. And then if you can get the palms, do that. It really stretches the space in between your shoulder blades. And then release that side, bring the left elbow under the right. Again, the first stage, you can just bring the elbows up, hands on the shoulders. Second stage, you just have the elbows together. Maybe you can't grasp the hands yet. Third stage is that you can press the hands together. Then we'll do Guru Dasana arms. So you can bring that right arm up and hold on to the elbow as you stretch that up. Now just make sure that you've got the abdominals back to the spine so that you're not arching the back or throwing out the chest. And then if you're up for the second part or a third part or whatever, next part, you can bring the opposite hand between your shoulder blades. Maybe you can't touch the fingers. Just try not to distort the head and neck. And then maybe release this arm and place the other hand across the shoulder blade as you remind it to lengthen through the collarbones. Feels good, actually. And then release that side and bring the other arm up, holding at the elbow. You can give a little bit of a press. Your hand, meanwhile, is trying to go between your shoulder blades, behind your neck. You can bring the other hand between the shoulder blades. Maybe the hands don't touch, but it's still a useful stretch. And then release the first arm, and then you can give a little bit of tactile feedback to the front. Kind of wrap the shoulder back, or wrap the front of the arm, shoulder. And then release that. And whatever you would like to do for Shavasana, you can lay down, you can put your feet in a chair, you can do legs up the wall, you can put the block under your sacrum so the legs are up the wall. So whatever works for your body, find whatever position works for you for Shavasana today. And then just do a little bit of body scan, just noticing what sensations are arising. Notice about shoulder blades, the shoulder girdle. What are you noticing about the arms? Noticing in the pelvic girdle, in the lower back, side waists, in the abdominal. Then how
how about the flexion where your thighs meet the pelvis, the thigh socket? What sensations are you noticing there? Noticing in the legs as they come out of the thigh socket, down to the toes. And then how about the neck, throat, the face, the head? What are you noticing there? And if you are feeling sensation or tension or just more, basically more sensation in one part of the body, can you imagine or take your breath to that place? And when you inhale, it widens, maybe fills up a little bit like a balloon. And when you exhale, it softens. Widens, fills up like a balloon. And when you exhale, it softens. And if you're finding any other space in the body that needs that practice, you can take your imagined breath to that place. Slowly begin to reawaken your body. Bring a little bit of movement to your fingers, your toes, your hands, your feet. Do a nice big stretch. Roll to your right side. Come up to sitting. Perhaps you learned something new today or discovered something new in your body. Hopefully something in there has been helpful. And have a beautiful day or evening. Namaste. thank you for watching and joining us.
Namaste.